All right, in other news, Apple and OpenAI have reportedly struck an iPhone deal. According to Bloomberg, Apple is going to announce a major partnership with OpenAI at WWDC next week. ChatGPT will be integrated into iOS, which means Apple is outsourcing its AI chatbot, at least at the start. I guess you could argue it benefits both sides because OpenAI gets access to over 1 billion phone users and Apple gets a native integration of a top-tier language model. Terms are not clear, but most people think this is going to be a short to mid-term deal, with Apple building out its own AI chatbot in the future, but it's just not ready for prime time right now. Also plans to make Siri AI-powered and bring AI features to the Apple ecosystem. You may have heard that Apple is going to try to let Siri dive deeper into apps, i.e., if you're ordering your DoorDash or Uber Eats or an Uber or a Lyft or whatever, it might actually be able to execute those things inside of an app. Interesting line from the article. Apple executives were concerned about reputational damage from a rogue chatbot. Some people within Apple have a philosophical aversion to having a chatbot at all. Very interesting. So, thoughts on this, Sachs? Just getting you back in the loop here.
Well, we kind of predicted that something like this could or should happen. We said that the big win for Apple in AI would be to make Siri actually work based on an LLM, because Siri just, its understanding of language historically has not been great, and that's really limited the usefulness of it. Imagine if Siri worked with the conversational abilities of ChatGPT 4.0. If it had that level of semantic understanding, if it could talk to you the way that 4.0 can talk to you, that would make Siri really powerful. And, for me, Siri's is a feature I've turned off because it's so annoying. But
it sucks, right? It never works.
If you give it the power of the best OpenAI model and then the speed of running it natively on the iPhone, I don't know what they're going to do about that, but presumably there are things they can do to speed it up. And then you give it access to the internal APIs you're using to control apps. That could be really powerful.
Huge
because
winner.
Now Siri could be an agent that you can just tell it to do things and, not just ask like the weather and the time and set alarms.
Well, what's really interesting, I think, about this deal, Chamath, is Apple is having a hard time getting people to upgrade their phones, right? And people have lost faith in the stock. Now you say, hey, we're going to put a language model on here. You can make it a local language model and have it be privacy protected. So that means you need more memory on the phone. You're going to need another chip on the phone. There's a distinct reason to upgrade now. If you had a language model on your phone and Siri was like this super Siri that actually got stuff done, I would upgrade my phone immediately. And right now I skip 2 or 3 generations. What are your thoughts on this as a way to maybe reinvigorate the iPhone franchise, Timo? You buy it or not?
No. The problem is that we don't know what the right form factor for a super scaled consumer AI app looks like. So we've all again, I'm not trying to be a wet blanket. It's just that when you look at what's built so far, I think most of the things we've seen are the Friendster and MySpaces of this class of app. We haven't seen the Facebooks and the Instagrams yet. And the reason is because we haven't experimented and pushed the boundaries of the form factor. So for example, in the first phases of social networking, the idea that you would collect information about all your friends and then create something called a newsfeed was totally shocking. And I remember when we first released it, people got really upset. And then it just became this de facto.
Why were they upset about it? Tell me.
Well, it's this idea that you collected this information and then you presented it about all of your friends was disconcerting initially as a feature. Now, if you don't have a newsfeed of some kind in your app, for many apps, it's DOA, right? So the same problem exists today. All we've done today is we've replicated an existing use case with a slightly better feature here or there. Nobody has gone out and said on a blank canvas, let me completely reimagine how consumers want value with these things to enable it. And until that happens, we're just wasting time. So the idea that Apple, with this $1,000 device, is all of a sudden going to figure out that this is why you're going to upgrade, I think is pretty speculative, and I think they're going to be disappointed. I think people have realized that 4 generations ago was more than enough. And on top of this, the stuff that you value inside the iPhone is not what you're going to need for AI. So, spending $1 trillion billion on the 4th camera lens is not going to be what solves this problem. And so you're more likely to have a very simple earbud that is, very inconspicuous and discreetly in your inner ear well, speaking information to you, than you are, and with a companion $500 phone, then I think you will be with a $1,500 iPhone.
You're in the new form factor. I'm going to take the other side of the camp. I think that because you have this data on your phone, all your iMessages, all your documents, all your photos, videos, music collection, there's a unique set of data on that phone to make your personal LLM that's going to do extraordinary things for you because it's going to watch you and all your behavior on that phone. And man, if I can have a personal LLM that's been watching me order very specific sushi rolls or, where I send my Ubers, what type of Ubers I like, what music I play, I feel like that LLM
you don't need
personalized to me.
My point is you don't need a $1,500 device to do that. So if you spend $1,500...
I'm talking about the data set. Is so cool. Don't you agree?
The data set is not theirs.
So cool?
Uber has the data. DoorDash has the data.
No,
Apple has
you're
nothing.
missing my point. The data of me clicking on the screen, that pattern.
That is not Apple's to collect. It's not, they're not
I
allowed.
think it is. I think they'll collect it, put it in there,
You would have to fundamentally change the SDK. The idea then that Apple can take a tax on that is outrageous. I think the whole app economy would blow up if Apple tried to do that.
I think it's the opposite. I think the app economy would thrive. You'd have this great thing where I could tell it order the same thing I ordered on DoorDash.
I encourage Apple to try to change the terms of service and see what happens.